Another is what we call selective hearing. Yes. Now, this is the one where you actually do get a little bit of personality involved. Have any of you ever done these personality tests, introverts and extroverts and all that? If you're an extrovert like me, who would have guessed, right? If you're an extrovert like me, listening is not necessarily one of our go-to strengths. All right? I have good news for you. It's a learned skill, and it's one that you absolutely need to learn to do. And one of the more difficult things about it is that the average person talks at about 250 to 300 words a minute. Yeah. But because I lived in Boston for almost 25 years, heck, I can ramp that puppy up to 400 or 500 words a minute, no problem at all. You'd be surprised how long I can talk at 400 to 500 words a minute. You know what the problem is? When I'm talking at 500 words a minute, you're still listening. You have capability of listening at 700. You do. That's a fact. And what tends to happen is you're sitting there with so much on your plate, so many things to think about, so much that needs to get done, and that person is talking at 200 to 300 words a minute. You're filling up the gap. Now, what you're doing is they're talking, you know what you're doing? You're thinking. As they're talking, you're saying they're right on this, but they're wrong on that. You're analyzing, you're judging. In fact, the worst of you finish their sentences for them, don't you? Right? Okay. Selective hearing does nothing but get you into trouble. And I have some great advice on this that I got. One of the things you can also practice with your salespeople in meetings, just practice waiting 4 seconds before you respond to any question. It is an awkward, pregnant silence. Oh, what did you have for breakfast? Right? I had eggs and bacon. But what that allows you to do is focus on the listening, okay, and focus on what that other person is saying. And the person who taught me this said, at first you just figure out what you're going to say. But after a while, do you know what you start focusing on? What you're going to say and how you're going to say it. Selective listening.